Hey guys, welcome back to Vanguard Motor Sales. My name is Tom Fotios, and today, I'm gonna start sounding like Greg now. I'm standing in front of one of my personal favorites. Look at this 61 Corvette Resto Mod. Absolutely jaw-dropping, no apology car here. Look at the chrome and the paint on this. It is absolutely phenomenal. The chrome is just popping with the black paint. Just an excellent restoration, modification that was done on this beauty. Looking down the side of this car, you don't see a ripple, a wave, a bubble. It is just awesome. Check out that interior. Absolutely beautiful. Under here is the top. They went with a upgraded top. It's the, let's see here. It's the Hearts cloth type of material, if you can see it there. The glass is absolutely beautiful in the back, or I should say the plastic. Very well done car, very well thought out. No expenses spared on this. The doors open and shut, great. Four-wheel disc brakes. Can't wait to get out and drive this bad boy. Look at that paint, it's like a mirror. We're available 7 days a week at 248-974-9513. Our showroom in Plymouth is open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and Saturday from 9 to 3. So don't wait until this baby's gone. Give me a call today at 248-974-9513 and let Vanguard Motor Sales park your dream in your driveway.
All right, guys, we got the 61 Corvette out for a little cruise. Actually, a pretty nice day out. We got some really lucky with the weather. Spring here in Michigan, so we actually got the top down. We got the heat cranking, so it's just the perfect level. So this thing, it actually drives really, really well. It's a very sporty car. Now, it does have a more modern engine in it, which, I mean, of course, you can hear it and you can definitely feel it. And I actually really do, speaking of hearing it, I actually really do love the exhaust note of this car. Speedometer seems to be working, temp gauge is working, fuel gauge, we got great oil pressure, battery gauge works. Now another cool thing about this too is we got the a Tremec TKO 5-speed transmission in this thing, which is a fully synchronized gearbox. And it drives like a modern transmission. They're exceptional at driving transmissions as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, that really, to me, when you get a stick shift car that shifts and drives nice, I mean, that's A1. And especially with the suspension that this car has, this car would be a riot on a road course. Turn signal. I'll let you go. Come on now. But outside of all of that, getting going here. Clutch feels good too. Not a very stiff clutch at all. Now, the brakes on this car, they are manual brakes, but I'm barely putting any foot into it at all. And the brakes work absolutely fantastic. There's no request, it is a demand, and it stops now. Drives great, and I tell you what, this thing does have a little bit of horsepower to it. And the fuel injection system actually works pretty darn well on this. A lot of the time when they're tuned in properly, they don't run great. This one doesn't run half bad. As you can see here, the radio does work, or here I should say. Radio works fantastic on this car. Coming up to our next stop. Now here at Vanguard Motor Sales, we're really close to the Motor City. We're actually pretty close to the airport too, so if you do want to come in and see one of our cars, just schedule it with us. We can actually pick you up at the airport. We have no problem doing that, and we'll have the car clean, ready to drive when you get here. Now, something else too here, 15100 Keel Street, give Tom a call at the number below. We'll set this car up with you, and any other car you want to see here. Coming up to our yield sign here. Such a sporty sounding engine. We got lucky with traffic yet again. Making our left. One more time. I mean, that really never gets old with this one. Once again, nice quick ratio rack in this thing too. It is a actual a modern rack as opposed to the old school gearbox. Good downshift every single time. Nice responsive brakes. I can't say enough about the way this car drives. Coming up to the shop now. What we're about ready to do is we're going to do something that not many other shops will do. We're going to put this on a rack and we're going to show off the underside of this car, and there's quite a bit to talk about underneath this car. So that all being said, stay tuned guys, and we'll be with you in just a second. All right guys, this is the underside of our 1961 Corvette. Now, this thing has had a lot of work done under here, and I can promise you I've actually driven this car around the block. I've had an opportunity to have a little bit of fun with it, and this thing handles amazing. This thing can be a lot of fun on a track. So this is a Currie Ford 9-inch, which is not what would be in this car originally. Now this rear end actually does have a 411 gear set in it. It is of course a posi traction, or limited slip, whatever you'd like to call it. It being a Ford rear end and a GM vehicle, you take your pick. It does have this really cool bearing, bearing housing thing right here on the front of it, which is really nice. And of course, it being a Currie case, it's no big surprise with it all being aftermarket. Disc brakes on either end of it, which is really cool. QA1 shocks on this thing. It also does have a set of limiter straps on it, which is cool. Now, another big thing that you guys will hear me, gripe about it all the time, or I shouldn't say gripe about it, but when you get a car that's a cut above the rest as far as like their linemanship goes and their workmanship, I always like to point it out. So if you guys look at this guy's line work over here, that to me, that's like leagues above most of them right there. Everything is nice and uniform. Everything is, evenly spaced. Everything is P-clamped down properly. I really love to see that sort of stuff. And on well-built cars, stuff like this really stands out. So that's cool. Brake line, same thing over here. He did a nice job with all that sort of stuff. Exhaust on the car, obviously brand new. The car has been, obviously heavily modified, heavily restored. Very nice workmanship under here. Moving forward of all of that, do have like all of our frame rails. All this looks to be, for the most part, to be original, type to the car. Now, as far as transmissions go, we have a Tremec TKO. These are this is the badass that Tremec makes, or one of the badasses that Tremec makes. Very strong transmission, and like I said, I've personally driven this thing. It shifts great, and especially with the 411 gear set there in the back. This is an overdrive transmission, which gets you a lot of freeway capabilities. It's pretty sweet. Moving forward of all of that, this is the underside of our Chevy small block. I'm going to get to a little more information about that because I don't want to short it any of its details that need to be said. Now, big old set of long tube headers on this, which is really, really cool. Looks like a, I don't want to say an aftermarket. Yeah, it is an aftermarket starter. We've got an aftermarket starter on the thing. GM tag here on the side of the engine. This is a GM crate motor, and we're going to get to it once again in just a second. Now, here is a couple of aftermarket add-ons up here. It does have a welded in and a bolted in, I guess a little bit of both, cross member here that has the aftermarket front suspension all bolted to it here. So we've got tubular lower control arms, tubular upper control arms. Everything is fully adjustable. QA1 fully adjustable coilover shocks, which is really cool. All this front suspension here is all Heim jointed, which is sweet. We've got a set of drilled and slotted rotors on this, which is awesome. Of course, everything, we go through all this stuff, we shake everything down, but all this stuff is nice and loose, everything is nice and tight, and this thing handles like a track machine. Sway bar, of course, is aftermarket. Really nice sway bar on the thing. All the bushings, of course, are in excellent shape. Rack and pinion steering, which is really cool on this car. Now, this is a manual rack and pinion steering setup on this, but once you're moving, you cannot tell. And the thing's got a nice quick steering ratio in it. I can't talk enough about how well this car actually drives and handles. Moving around to this side here. Now, we do have a set of Goodyear Eagle GT tires on this thing. 225/50 ZR17, Z being a speed rating. Nice set of chrome wheels on it. Once again, you can get a good look at those brakes that's behind all this here. Very, very nice. Moving to the rear. Nice paint job too, you can get a look at from the bottom side. All right, so back here we once again have a set of drilled rotors back here. You couldn't see them with the backing plate, but now you can. As far as size goes, we have 225/50 ZR17. So 17-inch rim, same as the front. Overall, we got disc brakes back here as well, as you can see. Very, very nice. And now we get to look at the 383 under the hood. All right, guys, this is actually pretty cool. This is the base engine here is actually a GM 383 crate motor. At least that's what the tag is telling me there on the side of the block, and I haven't found anything to dispute it. So atop that GM crate motor, which does contain all forged internals, forged pistons, rods, and crankshaft, it is a little bit later block, it being a GM crate engine, so it does have a one-piece rear main seal, which is sweet for those guys that don't want to keep the driveways clean, which is a really cool thing. 4-bolt mains is what this thing comes with, which is also really cool. Now, cylinder heads that are on it, it's a GM Performance. I think they call those the fast burn head, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what that is. Anyway, GM aluminum performance heads. I can tell you that it does have a hydraulic roller camshaft in it, which is really cool. It does have a nice set of aluminum roller rockers on it too, which is, I've actually physically seen those. We had the valve cover off of it. And outside of all that, you can see here that this is not what the GM crate motor would come with. This is a, looks like an aftermarket fuel injection setup, and it actually kind of is reminiscent of like the 50s fuel injection. At least that's what it reminds me of the 50s, like a 57 Chevy fuel injection setup. At least that's what this looks like to me, which is really, really cool. Outside of all of that, of course, it is all electronic. I should point that out. It's a modern setup. As far as your ignition goes, you do have a modern GM distributor here with a modern coil. All of it's electronically controlled here, along with the fuel injection setup. Now, outside of all of that, we've got our battery over here. Looks like a relatively fresh battery. This car does have AC. It does work. I've actually driven this car quite a bit, and it works great. Heat works great. Big Griffin aluminum radiator here. We do have a clutch fan on the thing, which is really nice to see. Looks like a GM one-wire alternator over there, which is cool. Our brakes, we do have manual brakes on this car, but it honestly, when you get cars this light and cars that are balanced like this, you really don't need power brakes on these things. And quite frankly, I'm a bare bones guy. I like just horsepower, speed, no power steering, no power brakes. So this is a a performance built automobile. Dress-up kit on the engine is actually very, very nice, very tasteful, and everything kind of seems to match under here very well. Like I said, you got a set of headers on the thing, which looks beautiful. All of his hoses and whatnot, that's none of the cheap hose clamp style stuff. He actually used the shrink wrap hose clamps on it. All of his wiring is nice and neat, which once again, you hear me gripe about plumbing all the time and wiring, and you can see all this right here. When people do a good job with this sort of stuff, it really does show. So, all that being said, this car is a driving experience to be had. So if you'd like to drive this car, come in and check it out for yourself. We'll put it up on the hoist for you so you can get a good look at it. Give Tom a call at the number below, and I dare you to drive it. That's it, guys. We'll see you.